Welcome to the Rich and Rob Show, everybody. Rich and I scout the internet for relevant social and political issues, then bring them here for discussion in a non-douchey way. I'm Rob. And I'm Rich. I'm quite looking forward to this episode, Rob. Thomas Sowell is one of the most intelligent yet least covered minds of the past 40 years. I love listening to him speak. Oh, me too. And for fans of Thomas Sowell, this shows him in his much earlier years when he was on one of my favorite shows of one of my all-time favorite authors, William F. Buckley, Jr. He was considered one of the world's greatest debaters, among other things, and his show had liberals and conservatives on it, right, at a time when TV shows and newspapers were not propaganda machines for the respective political parties. It was such a good time, Rich, that's for sure. Buckley was a libertarian and quite conservative, but even liberals liked him because he gave everybody a voice. Well, let's see what Thomas was like in his early years, talking about the racial and gender wage disparity, allegedly so-called.
We have with us Mrs. Harriet Pilpel, who's well known to this viewers of this program. Mrs. Pilpel is an attorney with Greenbaum, Wolf and Ernst, a graduate of Vassar and of the Columbia Law School, and very active in a number of liberal and feminist movements. Mrs. Pilpel.
I would like to, for a moment, ask you some questions about the economics of job getting in terms of the blacks versus the whites. The statistics I was able to pull together indicate that at the present time, white males make $17,427 on an average basis for the year. Black males make $12,738. White females make $10,244, and black females make $9,476. It is clear from these figures, as indeed I think it's clear to most of us from what we see, that there is a discrimination against blacks and against women in our present system. Since not all blacks will be superior, how would you try to even that out so that there would be some equality of job opportunities?
Yeah, I'm sorry you missed the earlier part of the program when I pointed out that where you find people not represented evenly, that does not show the institutional effect, because almost nowhere in human affairs do you find people evenly represented. Well, if you compare comparable people with respect to age, with respect to education, etc., you get a totally different picture, both with respect to blacks and women. Now, the figures that I saw, for example, show more recently that if you take black families where the husband and wife are both college educated and compare them to a white family where the husband and wife are both college educated, the black family is now earning $2,000 a year more. The problem is that very few blacks fall in that category. That when you compare category for category, then we're talking about getting people a decent education.
Brilliant points about being more specific about statistical comparisons rather than these broad generalizations. I learn something new from him every time I hear him speak.
I'm saying that you cannot say that numbers collected at the employer's place of business reflect simply the employer's policies. Those numbers reflect underlying conditions in the whole society, just as numbers collected at a hospital do not show you that the people are sick because they're in the hospital.
No, I would agree with that, but you would also have to agree that, generally speaking, women are paid less, for example, for the same jobs as men.
No, I would not. I would not agree with that. If you're talking about women with the same number of years of experience, with the same continuous service, etc., then when I look at that, I don't find that disparity. I find, for example, in many cases, the women are making more, depending on how you break the data down. The difference with women is between married women and everybody else. That's the real difference.
Well, even as to single women, the Census Bureau statistics, the most recent ones I could find, 1978, say that single men are earning $11,100 and single women are earning $9,300.
Yes, I love the word single that is used. When I did my study, I didn't use single, I used never married. You see, a woman who is single at age 40, having spent 10 or 20 years raising children, is really not quite the same as a man of age 40 who's been working continuously for 20 years.
And the differential she cited is not that great, so he could easily be accounted for by the point
Yes,
you
because when I
raised.
break them down the other way, I did this for the academic world, and there I found the women who are never married, which is the term the way I take it. There they were earning more than the men. And similarly, when the government did data some years ago on women who had been working continuously since high school into their 30s, there you found that they were making slightly more than men of the same description. So the difference is between married women and everybody else. And married men get an extra bonus because their wives take care of many things that enable them to put more time into their careers.
I'm sure you're aware of the fact that there are approximately 15% of all homes in which there is only one wage earner. So that when you talk about women being able to take care of things for their married mate wage earner, the fact is that in the overwhelming majority of American homes, the women also work. And therefore, I don't think your explanation that women have other responsibilities and that's why they are...
Work can mean part-time work or full-time work. Women do not work full-time to the same extent that men. Part-time workers make less than full-time workers.
He makes so much sense, Rich, and was doing this 40 years ago. He says things that people can't readily contradict because he does his homework. That was quite enjoyable. He is still making many of the same arguments today, though, so clearly the message hasn't gotten across to people who are a bit thick-headed. Well, Martin Luther King said it well when he said, "Few things pain men as much as requiring them to think." And wage differences aren't that difficult to understand. One person works 20 hours a week, another works 40. Guess who gets paid more? Simple statistical analyses break it down, not just by generalizing, but into categories, and things begin to make sense. All right, everybody, that does it for this episode. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rich and Rob Show. Cheers!